I lied, I have two more. Here's one, other one coming next. B co-worker. In Holocaust room with a group of guests. Hear guests say Dad? Dad? What's wrong? Dad? Go check on them. Dad is standing there drenched in sweat, unresponsive. Sir? Sir, can you hear me? No response. Still new at the job, don't know not to touch the guests. Try shaking the guy. No response. Death rattle breathing. Guy collapses. Freak out. Have management call an ambulance. Be me, coming into work. Almost late because traffic jam due to ambulance. Walk up to door, co-worker is out there sitting in a chair, shaking. What happened? I really thought that man was going to die right in front of me. WTF. Can't get any clearer answers out of him than that. Go inside. Talk to assistant manager about this. Tells me to sit in the office for a bit while he talks to the paramedics. Assistant manager comes back in. Says the paramedics found nothing physically wrong with him, and the dad and his daughter are coming back in to see the rest of the museum. Why would you come back inside but okay? Asks me to go escort them back in. Man tells me he honestly thought he was having a heart attack. Daughter insists she's never seen anything like that happen to him. He's diabetic but has never had heart problems. They're cool people otherwise. Go debrief assistant manager. Tells me how the paramedics were just completely baffled, because he was sweating and breathing like someone with congestive heart failure, but once they got him outside on a stretcher and checked him out, he was completely and totally fine. Regular heartbeat, regular breathing, no signs of clog or congestion or anything, blood sugar normal, never seen anything like that before, and that's not the kind of thing you can fake. One more about this particular artifact. For real this time, one more. I should also probably stress that my co-workers in these stories have all been different people, so it's not like we just have one hysterical person who witnesses all the crazy shit. It's all different. B co-worker. Worked at this place for like 4 years, used to the shit that goes on. Alone in Holocaust room. See something out of corner of eye. Turn head. See a face right up on her. Pitch black, flaky skin like they've been burned, red eyes. No mouth. Talks to her in a language she doesn't understand. Fall to the floor, screaming. Second co-worker bursts into the room, sees what's happening. Be me, in office with manager. Hear over the radio co-worker number 2 screaming, management get to Holocaust room right now, we need you right now, with the screams of co-worker number 1 in the background. Manager runs out of office so fast his radio flies off his belt. Stay in office to watch the security cams in his absence. Watch manager and co-worker number 2 help co-worker number 1 off the floor. Manager helps her outside. Comes back in. Says nothing, but looks at me in the way where I know what he wants. Head outside to check on co-worker. She's crying hysterically, tells me what happened, freaked out because it was talking but had no mouth. How could it talk with no mouth? What did it want? Send her home for the day. Come back in to talk to manager, tell him, ask him what he thinks. He just shrugs because he's an atheist and goes, I'm sure it was real to her. She'll be back tomorrow. Assistant manager does some digging. Finds previous owner of the artifact. Asks if he ever experienced anything weird about it. Previous owner describes the exact same face to him, without assistant manager telling him what happened to coworker. Assistant manager tells us. Manager is unfazed, but I'm spooked, and so is coworker. Coworker refuses to be alone in that room anymore, ever again. She still works there though. This one's a little bit more dramatic, but still true. B coworker. In a room with a Holocaust artifact. Suddenly lose time. No idea how long she's been in there. Semi comes to, realizes her face is just inches away from said artifact. Opens door to next room, sees a group of people in there. Say, I need you guys to come in here right now. Clearly out of it, monotone. Guest rolls his eyes. Coworker snaps fully back into reality, realizes what she's doing. Runs out of the room, down the stairs, and out of the building. Be me, on break, smoking a cig outside. Hear screaming and wailing on the level that I think someone's broken a leg or some shit. Co-worker is being escorted by manager, hysterically crying. She sits down, repeating I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Manager just looks at me. He usually calls on me when something dramatic like this happens, because there are no female managers and I'm the unofficial team lead, with a vagina. I'm real close with manager, we've been through a lot of shit together, he can just look at me and I know what he wants. He seems apologetic because he knows I'm on break, but I take over. Co-worker tells me the story. Says she has no idea what she was doing. Was so upset and freaked out because she lost time, like she had literally fallen out of time and space, and until she snapped back and ran out, she felt like she had no real control over her body. Like she was in her body looking out through her eyes at what was happening but she wasn't controlling the actual actions taking place. It was wrong. It was wrong. Comfort her and tell some jokes to make her laugh. Call security over to get her a bottle of water. Eventually she calms down. Make the executive decision that she should go home for the day and get some rest. Go back inside, tell manager the situation. He just shakes his head. Says co-worker has been here even longer than he has, and no one's ever seen her like that. More on request. Serial killer stuff. I signed an NDA though, so I can't really go too deep into detail about where I work or what's there, lest someone snuff me out and rat that I'm telling stories that 100% violate my NDA, because these stories absolutely do that. Be me, in the halls. Dead silent in the museum. No one around, guests in different parts of the building. Hear a loud growl come from the basement area. Look around. No one to validate what I heard. Think I'm just tired, ignore it. A few minutes later. Group of guests coming up the hall. Hear loud PSSST. Look at guests. Guests look at me. I ask, is there something I can help you with? At the same time they ask, yes. Did you need us? Stare at each other. You heard that right? Yeah, I thought it was you. I thought it was you. No one else around. Guests are visibly spooked, just walk past me down the hall, not saying anything. Assume they're fucking with me, ignore it. Not 30 seconds later, hear a scream. Guests coming running back down the hall at me. What happened? What's wrong? Guest says something just pulled her hair. Look accusingly at her group. Ask who's playing pranks. Other two people are seriously spooked, insist no one did it. Make up some bullshit about how the air currents in the building are weird and sometimes people feel drafts or tugs at their clothes and it's normal. They seem to buy it. Go back to exploring museum. Still not sure what happened there. I am open to the idea that they were just fucking with me, but they seemed really freaked out. More on request. That seems unlikely, because she's been working at this place, around this object for over 3 years and never had something like that happen before or since. Okay, here's another dramatic one. Be me, upstairs near the same Holocaust artifact. Hear loud crash come from that room. Burst in. 2 guests on the floor, man draped over the legs of the woman. He's unconscious. Look at her, ask what happened. Says she thinks her ankle is broken. Hear manager in my ear over the radio asking me if I need him to come up there. Summon him upstairs. Guest eventually comes to, but he's disoriented, unbalanced and confused. Manager tries to talk to him while I talk to the lady in order to keep her from vomiting from the pain. She says she's not sure what happened, they were just looking at the artifact and he fainted and landed on her. Manager has worked in all sorts of shady businesses before, can tell when someone's fucked up with booze or drugs, but can't seem to place what's wrong with this guy. Head of security also now comes upstairs. Manager and security carry the lady down the stairs. Other guest, her husband, is just useless. Husband snaps back into reality as soon as they're out of the building. Insists he has no idea what happened, only remembers hitting the floor, and doesn't even remember coming outside with us. Visibly spooked, says he doesn't have any medical issues and they didn't drink or take anything before they came. He's clearly sober to my eyes, and manager agrees. Manager makes them sign a release, husband takes wife to hospital. Wife emails the next day to thank us for our help and confirm that several bones in her foot are broken. Doctors found nothing wrong with husband either, not even dehydration. 2 months later. Couple comes back, lady still in cast. Says that she needs to face whatever this is. Goes into room, comes back out. It feels different in there today. Less angry. No idea what the fuck that means. More on request. Not sure what to make of that, but I guess that's a cue to keep going. Be me, maybe last month. Had to be acting manager at night because assistant manager is on morning shift, and actual manager is sick as a dog, though he still has to physically be on property for liability reasons. Taking care of him, trying to make sure he doesn't asphyxiate on his own vomit while also running the place on my own. Co-worker asks for management on radio, says she's got a guest acting strangely. Manager stumbles out of the office to handle it while I'm doing something else. He's fucking useless. Go up there. Guest is sitting on the bottom step. Ask co-worker what happened. Says she saw guest come out of Holocaust room, come down the stairs, then start walking backwards back up the stairs. WTF. Guest is visibly twitching at random intervals. Sometimes her head, sometimes her arm, sometimes her hand. Manager tells me to ask the normal questions and stumbles back into the office while texting the owner of the museum to let him know what's happening. Ask if she has a history of seizures, if she's done any drugs before coming, assure her we won't report her, just want to make sure it's not an issue that requires immediate medical attention. She's non-responsive, but her boyfriend insists no to every question. Museum owner freaked out by this story, basically texting manager like get her off the property. I don't want anyone dying where I can be liable. Manager tells me over the radio to get her outside and onto the sidewalk. She leans on her boyfriend as he helps her outside, twitching all the while. Twitching stops when they get outside, but she's still out of it. Go them over to the sidewalk to get them off property. She finally speaks, says she's exhausted. Point them to a 7-Eleven down the road so she can get something to eat and drink. They walk off. No idea WTF that was. I have one more about this artifact, then others about other things. Alright. Should also mention that I work at a museum, and that's why the layout of the building is so weird, and why shit's possibly haunted. Be assistant manager. Come in early every day to turn everything on. Only person in the entire building. Going in room by room to turn on lights and stuff. Go into one room. A bulb way up in the middle of an exhibit is out. Take out phone to take pic to send to repair guy because he's the only one who knows how to take this shit apart without breaking it in order to fix a light bulb. Don't realize phone is on video mode. Take a 5-second video before realizing. Switch back to camera, take pic. Later, review video. Very clear whisper of a voice comes through saying get out. Literally no one else in the building. WTF. Be me, later that day. Come into work. Assistant manager hands me his phone, tells me to play the video, doesn't tell me what it is, just says to listen. Very clearly hear the whisper get out without him telling me about it. Assistant manager shows 3 other people without telling them what's on the video first, all 3 people all hear the same thing. We're not just imagining it. What the fuck? I never liked being in that room for too long, and that shit was spooky. More on request. I have some OC. It's nothing exciting because I don't have the time or patience to make something up, so true stories only, which are typically less exciting by default. Be me at work 2 months ago. Done for the day, closing up for the night. Me and 2 co-workers in the office gathering our things. Office has 2 doors to it, one that exits to the front part of the building, one that exits to the back. Managers making rounds on the floor to make sure everything's locked up. We hear footsteps come all the way down the stairs. Assume manager went upstairs to the employee bathrooms to shit. Manager walks in the front door 2 minutes later, exit to stairs is in the back. Manager, where the fuck did you come from? Just did my walk around outside to make sure all the doors were locked. We're good to go. So you didn't just go and take a shit? What? No. Go upstairs with one co-worker. Door to one of the rooms is slightly cracked. WTF.jpg, manager should have locked all these. Walk up to door. Door closes on its own. Nope, the fuck out of there. I have more from this place, but I'm not sure if anyone's interested. Be me, hanging out with wife and friend by the river bars in LJ. It's July 25, 2020. 23 hours, eased lockdown so everybody's out. Heading back home, at the Dragon's Bridge traffic light. Wife says in on look up, what is that? Everybody at the traffic stop looks up in awe. Two big orbs of light are shining a very bright light in random directions to their sides, altitude around 200 meters coming from the castle hill towards the railway station. Their movement is aleatory, completely silent, and they shine their light over the whole river and everything under them and sideways. The light they shine arcs in a cone, mostly to their sides. They fly next to each other, but the distance separating them is not fixed. Their movement isn't fixed either, as they move in all directions as they shine their lights. Their movement range is maybe 10, 50 meters, hard to estimate. In all we all stare at it for at least 1 or 2 minutes. I snap out and look at the crowd and we're all looking. There's maybe 9 people there. Right there I remember I have a phone, so I start recording, Pixel 2 XL, while on my bike. I cross the road to try to get ahead of the trees, but the lights are already flying high. I stop recording to move to another area, but the buildings don't allow me to see it. When I see the lights again, 100 meters ahead by the river, a couple of guys are also in all looking up at the lights, and we stay there watching and ruling out what they couldn't be. The lights kept going up higher than the plane that flew by, as they dimmed into space at a very high altitude.